Hello and welcome to this video on understanding equations of motion. This is for those students who find a lot of difficulty in numerical problems and related to the equations of motion. So the aim of this video is to understand the hows and whys of each equation so that we have a correct understanding of what each and every equation means and how can we use that knowledge in solving numerical problems based on equations of motion. So let's get started. All right. So there are five variables when it comes to equations of motion. The first variable is v. V stands for final velocity. What exactly does final velocity mean? So whenever we are studying motion, we study from one duration, one point of time to another point of time, right? So the moment when we started studying the motion and the moment when we ended studying the motion. The moment when we started studying the motion, the velocity at that particular point of time would be called the initial velocity. And when we finish studying our motion, that particular velocity at that point of time is called the final velocity v and the initial velocity u. And now these equations of motion are only valid for a uniform acceleration. A uniform acceleration that we represent here by a. Right, to recap, v is the final velocity, which means that the velocity at the point of time when we end studying the motion. U is the initial velocity, the velocity at that particular point of time when we started studying the motion. A is the acceleration, the uniform acceleration with which this body is moving. And if the acceleration is not uniform, the equations of motion in this form may not apply, right? And then we have t. T is the duration, the time period from the beginning of the study of our motion till the end of the study of motion, right? And then s is the distance covered or the displacement underwent by that object which we are studying, right? So if it is a straight line motion, then we don't differentiate between the magnitude of the displacement and the distance covered. All right. So we see that there are five variables. There are five variables here: V, U, A, T, and S. Now, what we need to understand is whenever we get a numerical problem, there will be four variables which constitute a numerical uh, problem usually. And if you see, all of our equations of motion would have four variables. That means one of the variables would be missing in each of the equation, right? So that is the thing that we need to understand. And when we see and analyze the numerical problem, there will always be three of these variables given, and we have to find one or both the remaining ones, right? That is how we should see a numerical problem. So the first thing that should come to our mind when we see a numerical problem is what are the three variables which are given to me, right? And what is it that I have to find? So when we answer question ourselves like this, then these analyzing these numerical problems becomes very easy. Now let us understand the first equation of motion. We all know the definition of acceleration. Acceleration is defined as change in velocity divided by time. The change in velocity divided by time. For example, when I say that a body is moving with an acceleration of 2 meters per second every second, right? Another way of expressing it is 2 meter per second square. Actually, what it means is 2 meter per second every second. So this 2 is a positive number, which indicates that the velocity is increasing. So what is signified here is that the velocity of the object in concern is increasing by 2 meter per second every second. So when I say that a body is accelerating at the rate of 2 meter per second every second, it means that every second its velocity is increasing by 2 meter per second. For example, if its velocity right now, uh, when we start studying the motion, is say 3 meter per second for this object. So the next moment, the next second, sorry, 1 second after, its speed would be 3 plus 2, right? And what about 2 seconds later? It will be 3 plus 2 plus 2, right? 3 seconds later, 3 plus 2 3 times. So let's write 2 into 3. 10 seconds later, 3 plus 2 into 10. Alright. So that is what acceleration actually means. So if we know what is the initial velocity, we can find the velocity at some point of time uh, later. For example, uh, the velocity of this object after a time t would be simply 3 plus 2 into t here, right? Where 3 is the initial velocity, the velocity with which the object started when we started studying the motion, and 2 is our acceleration, and v is the final velocity that we are considering after a certain amount of time. So that is how it works. All right. So let us come back to this equation. So acceleration is defined as what is the change in velocity in 1 second, right? And this equation, as you saw from my example, it yields the first equation of motion. But then let us go a bit deeper and analyze a bit more. Okay, from this equation, it is clear that the change in velocity is acceleration into time. So whenever we have a quantity which is acceleration into time, what does it signify? It signifies what is the change in velocity. For example, when I say that the acceleration into time of an object is 10 meter per second, right? What does it mean? It means that after a time interval of t, and when the object is accelerating with an acceleration of a, this increase in speed is 10 meters per second. So that is what it signifies. All right. So we have a meaning for a into t. A into t is what? It is the increase in speed or increase in velocity, increase in the magnitude of the velocity. It can also be a decrease when acceleration is negative, right? So when the magnitude of acceleration is negative, so the velocity, the change in velocity is actually negative, which means that the final velocity is less than the initial velocity, which means that the speed is decreasing. So we can also calculate the decrease in speed. Now, it is very obvious that when we are studying motion, you start with a velocity v, and your velocity changes after a time t by a magnitude of delta v. This is the change in velocity happening. So this is the increase in velocity. So if I was moving initially with a speed of 3 meter per second, and my speed increased with by 10 meter per second after certain period of time, because I was accelerating and I accelerated for a certain duration, right? So my speed increased by 10 meter per second. So what will be my final speed? My final speed would be obviously the sum of these two, which is very obvious, right? So the final velocity is nothing but initial velocity plus whatever is the increase or decrease in speed. So we know that the change in velocity is given by acceleration into time. So we can substitute for that. So our final equation becomes what? The first equation of motion, v is equal to u plus at, where v is the velocity that we are concerned with at the end of a particular duration. U is the velocity at the beginning of that particular duration. T is the time duration that we are speaking of, and A is the uniform acceleration with which this body is moving. So that is what this equation actually means. Okay, now moving on to the second equation of motion. All right, I have included a third equation of motion here, which you don't usually find in textbooks, but that is also a valid equation of motion, and it will be very useful when you are solving certain questions. All right. So one thing is certain, that when a body is accelerating, its speed increases from u to another speed v in a time duration t. Right? This is what is happening in the case of a uniformly accelerated motion. The body starts with a speed u and it reaches a speed v after a time duration t. Right? Now a question arises, what if the body was not accelerating and the body continued to move with the same speed of u? Then the distance covered would have been u into t. If the body continued to move with the same speed, initial speed u, then the distance covered would have been u into t. Now, since this body is accelerating, its velocity is continuously increasing. If its velocity is continuously increasing, then it means one thing, that the distance covered would be more than ut. So there will be some additional distance covered, and this additional distance covered can be attributed to acceleration of the object, right? So the distance covered is nothing but ut plus some additional distance due to acceleration. Now, when you examine the second equation of motion, the distance is ut plus half of at squared. Now, what exactly is this half of at squared? This half of at squared is nothing but the additional distance due to acceleration. So if the body was not accelerating, then it would have covered a distance of ut, and since it was accelerating, it covered an additional distance of half at squared. Now, going by the same logic, we can have another equation. S is Vt minus half at square. What is V? What if the body was moving with the final speed? We discussed that the body started with the speed of u and it finally reached the speed v in time t. Now, what if the body started with the speed v and continued to move with the same speed? Then, of course, the distance covered would be much more than the actual distance covered. It will be half at square more than the actual distance covered. So distance, so half at square we have to remove from that, because the actual average velocity lies somewhere between u and v, or rather exactly between u and v. The actual average velocity for a uniformly accelerated motion is u plus v over 2. And mind you, this is only true for uniformly accelerated motion, that the average velocity is initial velocity plus final velocity over 2, or the average, the arithmetic average of u and v. I hope you understand the context of S is equal to ut plus half at square, and this equation, which is rarely discussed in any book, S is equal to vt minus half at square. Now let us move on to the fourth equation of motion and let us try to understand its significance. Alright, the fourth equation of motion is nothing but a restatement of the concept of average velocity, right? So we discussed that the average velocity of any body is nothing but the total distance over total time, right? So by that same logic, the total distance covered should be average velocity into time. So this is what this equation shows. The distance covered by the object is the average velocity of the object into time, and this is only true when acceleration is constant. This is the condition that you need to remember. All these equations are only true for a uniformly accelerating body. It is not true for non-uniform motion. Now moving on further, fifth equation of motion. All right, we know that the average velocity of a body moving with an acceleration which is constant is given by the initial velocity plus final velocity over 2. Now we will use this concept to derive the fifth equation of motion, or to understand the fifth equation of motion. We also know one more thing, that v minus u is a, right? V minus u over t is a. This is the definition of acceleration. The change in velocity divided by time gives you acceleration. Now, from this, it is very obvious that the time is given by what? V minus u over a. That is what the time would be. So if time is v minus u over a, then we earlier saw in our fourth equation of motion that distance is nothing but average velocity into time. So distance is average velocity, which is v plus u over 2, into time, which is v minus u over a. So this equation is again uh, written in a shorter form, which is v square minus u square over 2a, by applying the formula for v plus u into v minus u, which is v square minus u square. So that is how we should interpret these five equations. And as I said, let me recap. Whenever we see any numerical problem, we should always realize that there will be five variables, out of which four variables would constitute any given uh, equation of motion, and any problem would have three way of these variables given, and we have to find one of these variables, or sometimes we have to find both the remaining variables. So that is what every numerical problem boils down to, right? And if you use this approach, I'm sure that you will be able to solve most of the numerical problems that you come across, particularly for students of class 9th and students who are preparing for various Olympiads and talent search examinations. So one thing more, we will keep on uploading these videos almost every week, and do make sure that you subscribe to this channel to be updated, and don't forget to comment if you have any question or anything that you couldn't understand, or if you have a numerical problem that you find um, where this strategy is not fitting in. So you're most welcome to comment at the bottom of this page, and so see you with another video next time. Thank you.